I'm going to call the meeting to order. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the Monday, August 4, 2025 meeting of the Westport Select Board. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. I just have a couple of announcements. Our next meeting is going to be 2 weeks from tonight on August 18, so it's our regular schedule. I want to let everybody know, or remind everybody, that tomorrow night is National Police Night Out, and our police department is putting on an event at the old high school from 4 to 8 tomorrow. So it's Tuesday, the 5th of August, would be the police night out. Unfortunately, we have several passings that we want to acknowledge from prominent Westporters here. The first one we want to acknowledge is Carol Vidal. Carol was 75 years old. She passed away on July 15. She was an active member of the Westport arts community and spent a lot of time volunteering at the Friends of the Westport Library. She published their monthly newsletter, she organized their book sale, and she's always at the library, I think. So our condolences to Carol's family. Anybody want to say anything about Carol?
Madam Chair, I had the privilege of working with Carol at the Council on Aging, and I was greatly saddened by her passing, and my condolences to her family.
We also want to acknowledge the passing of Raymond Phoenix Sr. He was 79 years old, and he passed on August 1st. He was an active member on the Commission on Disability, and we had a note from their chair asking us to acknowledge the important contribution he made to the Commission on Disability. So our condolences to the Phoenix family. And then we also want to acknowledge the passing of Richard Vanica. He was 86 years old. He passed on July 27. He resided in Westport his whole life. He served in the Army Reserve. Here in town, he was on the Town Building Committee, the Westport Housing Authority, the Personnel Board, and he was vice chair of the Democratic Town Committee. So our condolences also to the Vanica family. I forgot to ask, anybody want to say anything about Phoenix or Vanica? Anybody know? And then we also want to acknowledge the passing of Skip Tallman. And Manny, I know you wanted to talk about Skip.
No, I've known Skip for 20 years, but his son is Jeffrey Tallman. So we all worked with Jeffrey at SciTech. I've known Jeffrey for 30 years. Skip got his nickname from his father, who was a PT boat captain. So when he was a kid, they named him Skipper. But he liked to sail. He lived right in town. The years I've known him, I guess he might have moved to Florida if he was sick. I wasn't aware if he was sick, but 80 years young. He was a good guy.
So our condolences to the Tallman family. Are there any other announcements or acknowledgements? Okay, seeing none. So we have first on the docket here a public hearing. We have an application from Kristen Fennelly for an on-premise all-alcohol beverage license for Central Village Farm, Inc., doing business as the Barway at 793 Main Road. You want to come up and tell us what you got going on over there?
Sure. Hi, Kristen Fenley.
Carrie and Fenley.
I'm going to let you go.
All right.
I get nervous.
About 4 years ago, Kristen and I decided to invest in Westport. We love Westport, and we plan on staying here. And we thought about options. We had the opportunity to purchase this piece of property in the center of town, and we thought about how we could use it and sort of also benefit the community and enhance what we already love. We ran the gamut of things that we were thinking of, and we came down with a lavender and honey farm with a proposed farm complex building. We plan to process our honey and lavender and also use half of the building for our oyster business, sort of really wrapping in the sort of farming and sort of seafood element into one piece of property. Over the past 3 years, we've been working on it. We have a approved DEP public water supply in the back corner by Village Way. We've been working with Power Corp on the site engineering. We have a lot of plans that have come forward, and we're at the last stage when we have to pay for the structural and final engineering plans as the sort of septic. Because of Westport's limited infrastructure, you have to supply your own septic and water. So for us to progress, we thought it was a good point now to sort of ask the town to grant us a liquor license for the proposed property. At this juncture, we felt it was a good point so we could actually secure the loan to actually commence building. Our hope is to break ground by the end of the year and be finished within 18 to 24 months.
All right, thank you. So, so my understanding is that we have a favorable police report. The fire and building inspectors haven't made comments yet, we're waiting the final plans. But you're looking to get approval for the license ahead of that before you make this investment that you're talking about. So this way we have, before there's a building there, you're asking for it.
Correct. We've invested over $250,000, and now is when the big bills will actually rack up. So this sort of, for us to get the loan, the liquor license, if you're a Pub 99 or an Applebee's and you go into town before they build something, they get the necessary permits, so they're not building a building that won't function.
So, we could grant the license contingent on the building and everything would have to, before you could move in and occupy it, you have to meet all those rules, right?
Absolutely.
So, Jim, you put a note in our comments that we could put a length of time. Right now, we have two available all liquor licenses. So we would have this license that you're applying for. We would still have one more, should somebody else want to open up a restaurant and get the liquor license in the future. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So you made a note here that we can make it expire in the future. So we could say that it was, you put 12 months on here, but we could say that we would approve it provided it was, I don't know, what's the provision? Provided it was 18 months or 24 months?
Yeah, in cities where you have public infrastructure, they normally do it sooner, 6 to 12 months, because they can build quicker. Here in Westport, where you're doing public water supplies and septic systems, it takes a little bit longer to go through the permitting process. So, yeah, 12 months, maybe 18 or 24, I don't think is out of the question.
Okay, so I'm going to give the board a chance to make comments in a second, but I do want to note that we had 25 letters of support of this project, and we had 0 letters against the project. And I suspect some people here are also here to support you, but we had a groundswell of support coming out.
I would like to add, we would like to offer every 4 to 6 months updates, so the board isn't in the dark. And if we feel like the project can't move forward, we would be the first to sort of, hey, we can't use this liquor license and it should go back. Way back when we started 3 years ago, these same 2 licenses were available.
Yeah. Does anyone on the board have anything?
A couple of comments and suggestions, and questions. I like the project. I think it brings something important and necessary to the village. It adds another dimension to the village. We have exciting plans. I was a little bit taken aback when you described the project and talked about honey. And because I was thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be sort of a restaurant and with a liquor license and a nice ambiance and indoor, outdoor types of serving situations. And when I heard the word honey processing, I said, well, that doesn't fit with what I was envisioning. So please help me.
So it's still exactly what you were thinking. The honey is just a bonus, with the
Okay.
lavender having bees
Okay.
only
Yeah,
helps.
no,
Yeah.
I get that, but.
Are you going to have
I understand-
food?
Yeah, so if you look on the plans, part of it is the wholesale facility for the oysters, and then part of it is a full restaurant with outdoor,
Okay.
indoor space as
Right.
well. The
So if you
bees
want-
are out in the
If you want
lawn.
to go on a date and order oysters on a half shell, you can buy it in the restaurant.
You can, and you'll probably get a
If you
cocktail
want
that
to
has
get them
honey
to
in
go,
it.
you can. Well, okay,
And lavender.
okay. That was it?
The big reason we chose lavender is it's deer resistant, and we have a lot of deer in town.
And
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, they destroyed my garden this year.
They destroy everybody's garden.
Anyone else on the board have anything?
My questions were answered, but
I mean, I would be up to giving you the most time, because now you gotta go through site plan review and all that stuff, so I'd say whatever we can, 24 months would be good. And the updates, you know, if we can help if you get any stumbling blocks along the way.
I appreciate that.
I just also want to say, I fully support this. I think it's great. I think it's fine to allow you the 24 months. You have been doing business in Westport for a long time. You've had an alcohol license for a long time. I think it would be a great addition to town, so I completely support this. And I appreciate your offer to come in and give us updates too, along the way, so that we'll know if it's something stagnating and we need to release the license, then we have a line of communications. I like that.
We also chose now, it might be a little bit early, but it's when everyone is in town. So it's not like a mid-March when everybody's in Florida situation.
All right, so anything else from the board? So I do just want to point out, it appears as if the board is favorable to this, and we have 25 letters of support. But I don't want anybody who wants to say something, I'm going to give you the opportunity. I just asked you to just kind of keep it limited. But anybody who wants to weigh in, yep, go ahead. Just go to the microphone and state your name.
Jay Moss, 19 Village Way. We met them last Friday. I mean, you say you got all these letters. Look, I'm of support. We don't know anything about this. We live on Village Way. And there are people here that I can't speak. I think I'm speaking for everybody here, but if I'm not, they can speak for themselves. We don't agree with this. I mean, we met with the applicant, very informal, last Friday. This is first we found out about this. Now I'm trying to do homework in the afternoon just to get some information. The reason they're here is what they told us at that little informal with a few of the residents, is that they need funding. They need money. And the only way they're going to get the money is to get an alcohol and beverage license, get the alcohol license. That's not the way you do business. They have nothing from any board, no approvals. The gentleman just stated we're at the last step. To me, they're at the first step. They have not been to zoning. They haven't been to planning. They have nothing signed off from anyone. Conservation's got to be involved with this, which apparently they already are. The Board of Health obviously is going to have to be. I mean, they're presenting something to you that's not real. It hasn't been approved. There could be changes. There could be, things that have to be done. They don't know what their funding is going to be. Is it going to run out and they're going to need more? I mean, they're saying we'll give you a time limit on it. I get probably that they're trying to get it now because there's only 2 available. There have been no studies. This is going to affect Village Way big time. There's no way anyone's going to tell us that it isn't. We're right there. We hear everything. There's been no studies done, no anything with noise. I mean, they offered, kind of jokingly that, the young lady said, well, I'll go out with a decibel meter if it's too loud and tell them to turn it down. They want live music outside, artificial music outside. We're going to hear this. This is 55 plus. It's been there 20 years. We've been there 10, my wife and I. It's very nice there. It's very quiet. There's 4 condos for sale right now, which is very rare, but there's been, deaths and people that have to go to assisted living, and if you see the prices that they're going for, and people are willing to pay these prices because it's nice there, this is not going to be helpful. It needs to be addressed. They need to start from the beginning. In every meeting, as you guys know, I'm sure you're aware of this, every meeting they have to let the public know, all the abutters know so that we can be here like this. None of this has been done. This has to be addressed.
So
Go
ahead.
Okay, the bottom line is, what I'm asking for is that this application, or this just be denied tonight. Let them start from the beginning, get everything that they need. This is not for the faint of heart. This is a big deal what they're getting into. So that's, it's got to be done properly. And this is not done properly. Not at all. Where's planning? Where's zoning?
So
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, what about the impact to us? Does anyone care? No, it hasn't even come up with what in your comments that you've just made, any of you. It's a big deal.
Thank you. I just want to address a few things. So their project is going to have to go through multiple levels of approval from different types of boards. So this request is for the alcoholic beverage license, and they cannot open anything with just the alcoholic beverage license. In order to build the property, they're going to have to go through, and keep me honest here, Dick, they're going to have to go through site plan approval with the planning board. They're going to have to go through zoning and conservation. So there are a lot of hoops that they're going to have to jump through. They cannot open that restaurant without a common victualler license. They cannot play live music outside without an entertainment license. They have the zoning and the building enforcements that they're going to have to meet. So what they're asking us for now is the alcohol license, but they are going to have to go through public hearings for those other things that you just talked about. So they're not being ignored. They absolutely will have to go through the hearing process for that.
I don't know how, I don't know how business is done in this town. I'm new here with this. I was very involved in another town. It doesn't work like this. This is backward. They should have all of, what you're stating is fine, but that should be done first. This should be the last step. An alcoholic and an alcohol license is a big deal.
Thank you for your
Yes, it is. And
Yeah.
it doesn't belong granted to them tonight. And there's a lot of discussion that could go on, but it doesn't belong discussed here. It belongs in front of zoning and planning. It should have taken place way before they were here. This is wrong.
Thank you. Can you say your name?
Hi, I'm Deborah Hill, and I live at 2 Village Way. I am in the first building that is closest to where they want to put up their building and restaurant, and I'm in favor of it. I've been in town for 2 years, moved here, and there's like not a lot to do on a Monday for restaurants. And during the wintertime, you know, a lot of people close up shop. I look at this as being favorable because we need something for us townspeople to be able to do. Yes, I'd love to be able to walk to it. I walk down and around by the bank, right there in the restaurant, in that strip area, all the time. And so I've watched some of the progress. I understand where their well is, and I understand where everything's going to be. So I'm certainly in favor of it, and I'm like the first house on the left. So I don't think we'll be hearing the music, because from what they've said, it's supposed to be like a guitarist, and I understand that the town has requirements, again, for decibels allowed. So I'm definitely in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole Plant, 803 Main Road. I am the abutter on the other side, and I will tell you, I am fully in favor of this project. They have been wonderful neighbors so far. We have consulted many times on this project. Everything I do, they do. We all consult. They are wonderful neighbors. Village Way, a lot of the people that I have spoken to are in favor. The person that spoke at the beginning is not allowed to speak for everyone in that he is not a board member. So I would say you have got multiple letters from people in that association that has sent you letters who look at that as a whole. So I would say most people are in favor of this project, so I'd like you to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole is in a butt, but she doesn't.
You can't talk, you have to go to the microphone and be acknowledged.
Susan Moss, 19 Village Way.
Yes.
So I guess my question to you, the board, is how do you allow permits, the liquor licenses? So on that 6.1 stretch of mile from Bittersweet Farm all the way down to the Entity Farm, it's 6.1 miles. There's already 7 liquor licenses. There's 4 that I believe are full bar, 3 that are beer and wine, and I'm not quite sure what theirs is because
There's
they
all
have...
alcohol is what they're,
Okay. I mean, this is not Route 6. This is not Applebee's and TGI Fridays and all that. This is 6.1 miles, and that's 7 liquor licenses. This would be the 8th. Do you take into consideration how many are in one stretch of land?
So the town of Westport has a certain fixed number based on the population of the town. So we only have a fixed number of liquor licenses based on the population. So we don't look at it, we look at it as the whole town in a commercial district, right? So this is a zoned commercial district, and we have an available license. The other things that, I'm looking at this because Jim kind of reminded us. So when we are granting a license, we look at a number of things. So we're supposed to take into account the character and reputation of the applicant, their experience with running businesses such as this, zoning compliance. So we would look at the impact that it would have on the neighborhood. But we're not responsible for them complying with zoning. You're going to have to come up with the building permits and such. We should be looking at the impact on the neighborhood for noise, traffic, lighting, things like that. We do look for input from the residents of the town. That's why we're here tonight. And then the hours that they would do. So they, I don't remember, are the hours in the application? I don't remember what the hours are.
Yes, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and then Sunday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay, so then the hours of operation. We also look at the police reports. So in this case, we have a favorable police report. And then we look at the fire and building inspection, in which we would, if we were to vote on this tonight, we would make it contingent upon a successful fire and building inspection once they have the building approved.
Okay, so quick question, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Does that mean the building is closed and all restaurant people are out by 10? Or is it
That
like,
would mean when they would stop serving alcohol.
so it doesn't mean the place clears out?
The contingent that we put on here is the hours that they are serving alcohol. That's a scope of the liquor license.
Well, I respectfully request that you deny it tonight until other information is received by you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Anything from the board?
I hear the concerns from the people there, but we have to remember in Westport, there are very few commercially zoned districts, and Main Road is obviously one of them, Route 6 is one of them, and that's essentially it. You're purchased a condo that is in a commercially zoned area, you have banks, you have a supermarket, you have Cumberland Farms, and you have other businesses in that area. So I understand your concerns, and just remember, even if we make it a 24-month license, they're probably not even going to be open in that 24 months. So I think the concern that you have is the impact on the neighborhood with noise, traffic, lighting. I think there could be situations with creating a buffer. I'm sure they have that in the plans. I've looked through the plans. There's a lot of buffer situations that they have. So that can obviously be addressed even probably prior to them opening and starting operations. So, but again, I understand your concerns, but it's a commercially zoned area, and there's not much, at the end of the day that we can say with respect to it.
Manny?
And I'll have to agree with Jake, too. This just gives them the opportunity to know that they can get the financing because they have the license. They're still going to have to make sure that they follow zoning, and they're going to have to go to site plan review, which I'm on the planning board, too, and I know the steps they have to go through, conservation, all of that stuff. So those are the meetings, like we request all the time. Like, it's nice to see everybody in the audience. We're in the planning board, and usually there's nobody there. So you know that this is going to be coming before us, and you'll have that opportunity to put your input, and that's where it is. This gives them the opportunity to make sure that it's a successful project. If they were going to spend all this money and then they're denied, then what happens? We want to promote local business, and this is exactly what we want, the farm, the fish. It's good.
Sir.
Full support.
We need a taller microphone stand in Westport. I don't know about the tall people. My name is Matt Forbes. I live at 486 Old Harbor Road. I definitely rise in support of this plan. I was basically going to say what you selectmen were going to say, which is you can't approve or deny based on what funding that they may or may not get. It's irrelevant to this situation. And two, in Westport, I can't get a beer Monday through Sunday. There's just not enough restaurants. I'm always shocked, but there you walk in and you can't. So I've known them for 7 or 8 years. The place they run down on the point, they do a great job. If they did half as good a job in this facility as they do now, this would be such a benefit to Westport. So that's it.
Thank you. Anything else? So what is the pleasure of the board?
Can I just finish up?
You may, you have to go to the mic, though.
All right, look, I know don't want to hear my point, but the point is, you just mentioned, you had the opportunity to look at plans. We haven't. And you mentioned that, okay, that, you're on the planning board and this, what's going to come forward. It should have been done before. We should have been through the planning board and the zoning and now here. This is not right.
This doesn't mean that
I know what it means.
this means that they're gonna be able to move forward.
Look, I do know what it means, but it's,
Just go to the planning board meeting and you can.
There'll be many meetings that
so all of those meetings are going to be
To the
notified.
public, yes.
they'll be required to notify the abutters, just like they notified you for this one. And now you know to be looking out for
But
them.
I'm just, you had the opportunity to look at plans. We have not.
I'd like to speak for a second.
Yeah.
That's incorrect. We brought the plans to the meeting on Friday. There are a few women in the audience who were there. They can clarify that we did bring the plans. We had them laid out on the table. Yes, they didn't look through all of them. They were there. They did have the opportunity. We have not been hiding it. I'd like it to be known that that's not a factual statement.
Thank you.
They did not have all the plans. They did not have all the documentation.
We haven't-
I'm not going to sit back and let them talk. No.
So they're going to provide detailed documentation. This public, you can have it right now. You can call the office and Paula will send you everything that we had for this meeting. This is public record. So, I mean, it's available.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I move approval of the license as presented with the understanding that they will further need to accept all, get all necessary approvals from the other regulatory boards relative to the project.
And do you want to put a time limit on that? 24 months?
24 months, yes.
All right, so was that the proper motion that you needed? Close enough?
Yeah, and if they could submit as-built plans upon completion too, so that we have the final plans as constructed.
Amend my
Right.
own motion, including the submission of all built plans prior to construction.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Yes.
I'm just curious, if in the unlikely event that this doesn't meet zoning board approval, say, or even planning board, what becomes of the liquor license?
After 24 months, it would
So
stay.
they would,
Return.
if they did not withdraw their application, then I think it would be kind of in limbo for 24 months is what would happen.
But it's not transferable, I wouldn't think. This is specific to these people in this project.
Yes. Yeah, the board would have to approve of any change of
Yeah,
ownership,
okay.
any change to the actual license as presented.
Okay, good.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Congratulations. Good luck.
Very much.
Thank you.
I just want to ask, if you're leaving, please do not chat out in the hallway. Go outside. It's lovely out there. It's very disruptive if you're talking in the hallway out there. Do we want to, members of the Housing Authority, you want to come forward to the chairs or around the table here?
We're right here.
Well, yeah, but you need to be at a mic.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you the opportunity to call your board meeting to order.
Okay.
Liz, you can stay there. We just needed somebody at the mic. So you have a quorum of your committee?
I do.
All right, and
I
you're
do.
calling your meeting to order?
Calling the meeting to order.
Okay.
Tonight, a joint meeting, Housing Authority.
All right, so I just want to point out, so what we're doing here today is the Housing Authority has a vacant seat. You have more than one vacant seat.
Two.
So the Housing Authority has 2 vacant seats. And with certain elected positions, if there's a vacancy midterm, the joint decision of the Select Board and the committee can appoint someone until the till the next election.
Right.
So what the request here is today is to appoint Paul Stein to the Housing Authority until the April election.
Right.
Okay, and we both have to vote on that, so go ahead.
Okay. All right. My name is Tim Caton. I'm the chairman of the Westport Democratic Committee. Well, that's...
The Housing Authority would be
Housing
your role
Authority,
here.
I'm sorry, that's what we're here for. Anyhow, We're, as was expressed, we're shorthanded two committee members. One of them particularly is a appointee by the governor. Okay, so that's going to take some time. But there's myself now, normally there's 5 people. There's myself, there's Elizabeth Collins, and Pauline Boudreau. And we're the only 3. So if one of us is absent, we don't have a quorum. So Paul Stein is interested in sitting on as a commissioner, which would really take a lot of stress off the Housing Authority if we could have Paul appointed, and that's what we're looking to do.
Okay. Paul, do you want to say anything?
No, I don't think so. Just for full disclosure, in my other day job as commissioner on the Civil Service Commission, that we do have jurisdiction over the housing authorities around the state, and if tenured employees who've had a certain, I think it's 3 or 5 years of service, are disciplined or terminated, they have the right to appeal to the commission that I sit on. So in the 15 years I've been a commissioner, we have not had one single case from Westport. And Westport is not, as you know, in general, a civil service community. So I don't see any ongoing conflicts, but of course, if there were such a conflict, I would have to take action to remove myself from both sides of the equation. Other than that, I just welcome the opportunity. As I remember the saying, it's you make a living by what you get, and you make a life by what you give. And supposedly said by Winston Churchill, but I don't actually think he actually said that. But he's not around to deny it, and I think we all in this room understand what that means. So I'm happy to serve if you so choose to appoint me.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Go ahead. Can you, yeah.
My name is Pauline Broder, and I'm the tenant commissioner at Greenwood Terrace. About a year ago, we had a unique situation. Everyone on the board resigned, except me. The director resigned, retired rather. We have a new director now, Paul Dumichel. He's from the Attleboro Housing Authority. Made some very positive changes to us. I guess what we're looking for is someone who's going to be there for us, take the initiative to learn about some of the tenants, and show us some respect, which we haven't had in the past. So.
Liz, did you want to say something?
Yeah. It's so good to see you, Paul. Paul and I knew each other over the years. It's been quite a while now. And that one case...
Personal issues that I've been working through with my family, and I'm at the point where I can come out of my rabbit hole.
Yeah. The one case that you're talking about, I think you said Westport had one case. Did you say Westport only had one case at the time?
0.
Oh, no, one. One big one.
All right.
And you taught me a lot.
Oh, I didn't know. Well, I don't.
Yeah.
Before my time.
So Liz, are you in favor of his appointment?
Oh, am I in favor? I mean, Paul is such a good guy. I mean, really, I can't say enough about Paul. Paul is just great. And he's a very good teacher, because what we were going through at the time was very difficult, and you showed me how to use those law books.
Anything from the board? All right, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Paul Stein to the Housing Authority.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous from our board. You want to take a vote on your board? You need a motion on your side.
Yep, all right. We're looking for a vote for approval for Paul Stein to sit as a commissioner on the Westport Housing Authority. Is there a second? A motion, I should say.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Unanimous. Welcome aboard, Mr. Stein.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Do you need
your time.
to adjourn your meeting?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, the meeting is adjourned.
You need a motion to adjourn, Tim.
A motion to adjourn, I'm sorry.
Second.
Oh.
Somebody make the motion.
Motion, please. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time this evening.
Actually, he could have voted on that motion.
Right. All right, thank you.
This is like your shortest meeting ever.
Paul.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is an update on the old high school study by the Long-Term Building Committee. So we have RGB Architects,
Are they here?
They're in the hall.
people hovering in the hallway.
Okay. I didn't see him, okay.
Do we have anyone here from the AGT Auto Group? No, they're not coming, all right.
I have the presentation you sent me today, is that the same?
No, we haven't.
Are you connected by HDMI? I'm looking at that.
If you wanna,
What's the HDMI?
you wanna plug this in?
Yeah, I can present up there.
Yeah.
So do we have the new one in?
We have a presentation in our packet, but yours,
They said they've added a couple of
Yeah,
slides.
slides to it.
okay.
I'll take the new packet.
When you see before and after the imagery, it works better on a PowerPoint than it does a PDF.
So you said you had handouts for the new, with the presentation?
Yeah, we've got it right on the flash drive.
Okay.
We don't have a physical handout.
No, it's the same content, just the media is a little different.
Okay. So that's loaded, Jim?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Tim and Paul,
Sorry.
I see.
Do the.
can you please introduce yourselves?
Sure. Thanks for having us here tonight. My name is David DeQuantrum. I'm managing principal at RGB Architects. To my right.
I'm sorry. I'm Andrew Barkley with RGB. I'm a principal with RGB Architects.
Okay.
Thank you for having us. So,
I understand we've got 10 minutes, so we'll make this a 10-minute presentation.
Take the time you need.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead, Vanna.
go
Go at it.
We're gonna go fast, but
So we were authorized by the committee to concentrate on the existing high school, and we came up with 4 alternatives that we viewed. I don't know, next slide, if you want to go into that. 4 alternatives was to look at the former high school code improvements and basically maintain the existing high school for what it is, and just bring it up to code, so people can continue doing what they're doing in there. The next one we call the adaptive reuse. The adaptive reuse looked at the Council on Aging, potentially some of the town hall, the annex, school administration, along with other programs, and to put them into that school and to bring that school up to code. The third one, option 3, was a community campus, and that was to look at the same thing, but this gave the most flexibility, to look at the Council on Aging, the town hall annex, school administration, along with programs for community needs. And the last one was the 1970s edition. We were asked to take the entire building off except for the existing gym that was built in the 1970s. We'd have to obviously add some components to make that code existent, and that was the last scheme, the 4 schemes. Next slide. So we looked at option comparisons, the pros and the cons, and we did this collaboratively with the committee to see which had the best return. Overall, the community campus came out as the maximum flexibility for the town. Campus-like program, but it also added more programs for the town. It also opened up the possibilities for the town to further improve the site and go with those buildings. Next slide. We did a cost-benefit analysis. That's when you look at the benefits versus the optimum cost. And the bottom of the screen looks at the 4 equations, with the community campus being $65 million. We looked at cost comparisons over a 30-year grid so that You wouldn't slant one versus the other. If one, obviously, the first one would take you 2 to 3 years to do. We looked at over time, over 30 years, what other capital improvements would happen. Where option 3, you do it all at once, and you get the beneficial use of the occupancy and the space for that community campus. Next slide. This is Andrew's going to take this over. This is an axonometric.
Just an axonometric of the third option, which where we were removing sections of the building that were, say, either not programmed at this present time or sort of unused space, but also making 3 distinct buildings where you had the rec center, you had some school and facilities operations, you had the potential for town hall and annex if they wanted to move here in the future. You had Council on Aging. You had the theater still in process. You added some components, exterior components, like an outdoor farmer's market. You had exterior spaces like a playground and also some Council on Aging outdoor athletic space. And we improved the parking. So this was the option 3 in terms of floor by floor. Looking at the basement, the lowest level was there's a potential to have an indoor farmer's market as well as an outdoor farmer's market, depending on inclement weather. You had the rec department being able to use the lower level spaces, or locker rooms. Again, these could be converted and adapted as to the spaces they actually might want to improve or change over time. The first floor, we were looking again at Town Hall Annex, sort of in the center. School facilities maintains the section that they presently have in the back now, as some additional office space as well. The purple is the after-school program. The pinkish rose color is kind of the rec department use or care and control of that. And then on the upper level, you had spaces for, again, after-school programs, maybe older students instead of just a after-school program. And you had some extended school administration space. So that's kind of how the campus began to develop in terms of the internal structure of the building. The exterior, we added some additional parking. You have a component in the back in the play fields where you have a concession stand, opportunity for concession stand, as well as toilets, male and female, unisex, so that you have, when this building or the multiple buildings may not be open, you have the public use for the community on the outside. Had the number 2 was the farmer's market, the idea of a farmer's market. Number 4 is sort of a center space for between what could be the town hall and also the Council on Aging, so allowing them to come in and out of the space depending on how that was used. I think there's a few, so this was a comparison of the existing spaces of what the Council on Aging, say, at this time uses 5,000 square feet. We're suggesting you have the space within the old high school to increase that to 9,000, so it's a net gain of about 3,800. We have dedicated Council on Aging hardscape, an exterior space of 10,000 square feet, so that's a gain where they have very limited space now or no dedicated space now. We had the Town Hall and Annex, kind of an aggregate of a 16,000 if you put the 2 structures together. We really wanted to keep that the same, so it's kind of a 1-to-1, but we know there's some spaces that are underutilized in both structures now, so there's some room for growth or expansion if needed. The youth, the after-school program, 6,000 square feet. We added another 4,000 square feet for their program space. We know that there's been a desire for that to increase in terms of the number of students reaching out or parents reaching out and wanting to have places for their children to go. So we know that program could expand. And then we have the auditorium, performing arts, the cafeteria, the kitchen space. So we kept that as a kind of a community or cultural hub. How that's used, we kept that at, or we made that as a resultant of 12,400 square feet. And then we've added or defined exterior hardscape, which is pickleball courts or tennis or outdoor playgrounds for children, or again, the concession stand, a more dedicated exterior space and parking, increasing the amount of parking for the flow onto the campus. That's 30,000 square feet. This is an example of, I'll go through these kind of quickly, but a transition of the existing to what it might look like. These are just hypotheticals, but design composition of what the Performing Arts Center might become. The entry to the Council on Aging to the left as well. Existing high school entry now. And the little bridge connector that creates that courtyard, if you're aware of that space, what it might, if you demo that, you start to take a section of the building away and start to define this as town hall, annex, and then the space between the two buildings becomes something that's accessible by the Council on Aging. The entry, the secondary entry near the 1970s gym, which you use for like your voting and public access, we gave that a new face look. So you have your after-school programs, you have the rec department on the end using the gym and access. You have 2 points of entry. The secondary stair, if you sort of peeking out there on the side, allows you to go up at night to use the second floor of the building if you don't need access to on the first floor or the lower level. Existing corridor, which we call the bridge, I think you'll call it the connector bridge, and convert that into, again, this was a concept that was brought up during the community engagement, some type of outdoor recreation, pickleball, some type of space that could be used by all, but particularly also at grade for the Council on Aging. The cafeteria area now existing, what it might be able to be converted into. You have potential for library, basically like a coffee shop, a gathering space, calm, quiet space, the connectivity to the outside between the town hall. Then classroom spaces, existing classroom spaces now, what they may be turned into, like Council on Aging is looking for a dedicated, separate athletic or Pilates and yoga and stretch and movement course, so that's a place that could be easily converted into that. In the back of the building right now, we're on the back side of the classroom, the lower level, took this existing sort of trapped space, converted that into the outdoor farmers market. And in the back, the far left corner is sort of the idea that you could open the building up and make an internal winter garden, internal farmers market as well. So if it's bad weather, this is shut down during the winter, you can go inside on the lower level and still have interaction or engagement there. The outdoor existing fields, not taking the fields away. If anything, we're just trying to improve them by adding some form of a concession and some restrooms so that anyone coming to the fields have a place to go, not relying on having to come back into the high school to get to the restroom. And, all right, so this was really kind of sort of a summary on option 3, but I think the discussion back and forth was that this third option was sort of the most flexible in that what it allows the town issues to be accomplished. It creates a centered, designated design. All members of Westport hopefully will have use of it or have some component within this complex that they'll have a desire to use, from the Council on Aging to the school department to the rec department. Or you could come and use the fields and not have to be engaged with the rest of the structures, but you also could use this center piece as the town hall and the town hall annex as well. There's space there that can accommodate those programs. So what it did do is effectively kind of take away space that was underutilized or not yet programmed, which we would call, you'd have to put money into it, and we call it white boxing. So it's heated and cooled and finished to a point, but it's not dedicated to a specific use. So this kind of pulled out that additional space and just left the components that we know Westport's looking to potentially find a home for or consolidate. So, so that's kind of the thing, and then Chris wanted to bring up some other items, so. So here, let me.
I'll just stand right here. Okay. But so I just wanted to show some of the potential maintenance cost savings. Now, did you all have in this presentation the maintenance breakdown for the existing buildings? Is that that's in there? That's what I thought. So, so these numbers are coming from the estimates that RGB did, looking at the cost, the maintenance cost, with a couple different scenarios, including potential demolition and sale of the property, also just a cost of doing nothing. And that cost of doing nothing is based on the maintenance and required capital improvement numbers that was included as part of the study. And you can see that there, as far as the cost per square foot, average cost per square foot, as well as the total average cost per year, there is a significant savings by doing a community campus, whether you're replacing all the buildings, whether you're replacing just the annex, replacing just the annex and the COA. A couple things that I think really need to be considered in this is that the cost, let's say that the building was to be demolished and sold, that would trigger the need for additional athletic fields. It would trigger the need for an additional building for school administration offices, as well as school facilities. So that has to be considered in any kind of the base cost that there would be a requirement for new buildings. And the numbers that are in here include numbers from a study that was done to see how much it would cost to do bare bones athletic fields on the campground site. So, you're looking at the potential of 16 million in bonding for new buildings and new fields if the old high school is gone. So you also noticed in that presentation, I mean, the base cost of code compliance is around 19 million and change as it stands right now. The next slide is just, like I said, this is the savings versus the cost of doing absolutely nothing. And just for the sake of having a little bit of numbers, the next slide, this is the potential taxpayer impact based on a bond of $70 million with a 30-year bond, 4.25%. And you can see the impact on the average house and median house as from the numbers of FY25, I think.
Just because people probably can't read that, so can you just say what the average impact?
So what you're looking at is a potential impact on an average. The impact of the tax rate would be 79 cents per thousand. So the average Westport house, which is a assessed value of $641,000, you're looking at an additional impact of about $549.62 a year over the course of 30 years. And this is with straight line, which is with level a level payoff schedule. For a median house where the median single-family home value in Westport $528,700, you're looking at an impact of $471.10 a year. And I understand that this is anything that's going to potentially raise taxes to that extent has to be looked at with all the scrutiny. And I don't come to talk about this lightly. I don't take this lightly. But I think that what we're looking at a situation where no matter what, we're going to have to spend money. The question is, do we want to ask the town if they want to spend money on demolishing it, getting nothing, and still having a litany of problems that need to be addressed when it comes to our municipal buildings, when it comes to our school facilities, admin facilities, or would it be worth it to go to the town, ask, do you want something that can create a center that can serve the entirety of Westport's population for well into the future. So that's why I think, I believe that's kind of why the committee looked to this option as at least something that has to be, or that should be presented to the town. So
I just want to, because the numbers, I know people are super interested and you can't really read this. So what the numbers that we have in front of us are, if we have a $70 million bond over a 30-year period, the impact would be about $78.50 per 100,000. So the average house in Westport is about $550 a year impact. That's right? Right.
That's what the numbers are showing. And again, there are options on how you choose to service that bond. This is just with a level payback schedule as opposed to a couple of the other options.
And they assumed a bond interest of 4.25%.
That's correct, yes.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Jim Hartnett. Anything, what debt exclusion overrides are rolling off in the next 10 years?
So offhand, I think the first one would be the fire station, but I don't know the exact date. I get that information for you and get it to the committee.
I think that was done about 15 years ago, so.
I don't think, we don't have anything in the next few years.
I don't think we have anything in the next couple of years.
Okay.
Were you done with your presentation?
I just want to emphasize one more thing. As Chris alluded to, if you didn't
You'll
do...
have a chance later, okay?
If you didn't do anything, we're looking at bringing that existing building, because of the size of it, up to code, approximately $20 million.
Yeah, I want to talk more about that, but I didn't want to interrupt you if you still had more that you're presenting here.
That's the end of the
Okay,
presentation.
so can we go back to because a lot of people say it's a perfectly good building, right? And that you don't have to do anything to it. So can we kind of just go back and say, I would like for you to please just dive a little bit deeper in, if we were to just take the building as is, make only required repairs, and then move in, which I think is your option one. Can you just maybe talk about that a little bit more, about what that looks
Yeah,
like?
so
Because I think a lot of people think it doesn't need $19 million of work. I think it actually does.
Yeah, it does.
So, and I don't know what page, I think you have it detailed on, I know you have it detailed on one of your slides. I'm trying to find the right one.
Let's see, this one, Andrew.
Yeah, it's front. Go back.
Oh, yeah, so I think on the presentation, you don't have a page number.
Before that, keep going
The
up.
option one, it's no, you have it's after the option 3 solves the most problems.
Yep.
No, keep
That
going.
one?
That one has the price on it.
It does have the price, but what I'm talking about is the code review for minimum upgrades
Oh.
that you have,
That is,
or unless you have that summarized on that slide, but I think that,
no,
It's page 21, or 22, excuse me, page 22.
it's way back, I think.
yeah, it's after you have option 1, so go,
21.
yeah, it's after that section right there, so down a little bit more, right there.
Yep.
So can you just talk us through, so this is what would be, maybe put it in presentation mode so you can, it's still going to be pretty small. So I guess maybe talk to us about what we need to do to make it habitable, I think is the term.
So first you have to look at what the building is and what you want to make it. So the building right now is classified under the building code, Mass Building Code, as a school, education, and it's used for K through 12. It's not higher education. You can't teach classes on drivers training or teach you how to become a mechanic, and we'll call that a school. It has to be an actual K through 12. That's how the building code classifies that. So now you're doing a change of use. So there's two things going on. You're changing the use, and then it's a non-compliant building. So it's an existing building, and codes have changed over the years. So the building code and the fire code and the accessibility code all denote that when you transfer a building or change a building, even if we made it a school again, we would have to bring it up to the current code and standards. That's one. Second thing is now we're changing its use to a business use. Council on Aging is classified as business. So in doing that, it changes certain things. The biggest one is it changes to have a suppression system. Currently, the building does not have a suppression system. The building's 155,000 square feet.
Yep.
So if you just do a number of anywhere from $5 to $8 a foot, you can see how fast that adds up for a suppression system. And once you trigger a suppression system, you trigger a fire alarm system. And then once a fire alarm is triggered, they look at egress points in the school. How can they be controlled for egress points? Then you look at facilities, like toilets and bathrooms have to be upgraded. Materials have to change. Some of the materials after taking a tour have to be upgraded. And then you get the energy code. Mass has a energy code, which means that the windows don't meet code anymore, so the windows all have to be changed. Again, you're talking about 155,000 square feet. So everything you're talking about upgrading is, you times that by 155,000. That's what increases that cost. And that would be the minimum standards, and that's not even getting into the mechanical electrical system. So the electrical system's dated circa 1950s. That would have to be upgraded.
Yeah.
And then also the mechanical system, which is an old pneumatic type system. So in the old days, you would control things by vacuum. Now they're more electronic. So you'd have to have ventilation. The older buildings, like this building here, utilize ventilation with single pane windows. That doesn't apply anymore. So now you'd have to bring in ventilation, heating. Maybe you have to air condition. The Council on Aging, I would think you'd have to air condition that sort. So the mechanical portion of cost, that can range from $60 to $90 a foot, depending on what systems you're going to pick and how you're going to control that. A building of that size, you want to look at an energy building system, a system that can be controlled to maximize its efficiency so that the whole building doesn't turn on all at once and you're generating heat anywhere. It's controlled. That also costs money to do that. So when you add all those minimal standards, that's what brings you up to that $20 million mark to do those buildings. Adequately to bring that up to that building code level.
And when you were doing, and I'm sorry, because I wanted you to see this, because there's a whole bunch of codes that you've listed here that you have to apply, but the other page that you were trying to go to with the summary, so the proposal to bring everything habitable, so not really ideal, right? So the code improvements to make it habitable as opposed to adaptive reuse, where you're kind of reworking it a little bit, right?
Yes.
But the costs that you've noted on here, for 19.7 for the code improvements and 65 for the community campus, that's construction only, right? So you'd have some other costs on top of that, or is that like all in estimate?
I believe that was our cost all in.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. That's the right question. Go ahead.
To answer your question, the fire station's 2030, that would free up about $200,000 a year. And the police station is 2038, which would be $400,000 a year.
And the campground was the short-term borrowing, and that's off now,
That's
right?
paid off, yes. That was out of the operating budget.
Right, okay.
I have a couple of questions. They might be more to Mr. Thrasher rather than you gentlemen, because they're more financial. When I was looking at YouTube some time ago at one of your meetings, you had a fourth option, which was to renovate this building, make it larger, eliminate the need for having an annex. I've got a thing, $8 or $10 million, whatever. That's not here. Have you decided that's not viable?
So, one of the, I guess the key thing that I noted was that if you put the annex, if you put an addition on here, you're still left with, what that didn't include was, what are you going to do with that building? Is it just going to sit? Is it going to be, are you going to demolish it? So, because it didn't, I guess, solve the issues of additional space for the COA, trying to figure out how to replace the town, the administration and the school administration and the facilities, that's at least, those were my reasons for not including that in the, or for not voting for that as an option, or as a recommended option.
That was a committee decision.
And this was, committee did, exactly, so.
Yeah. One thing I was trying to do here, look at the total impact, principal and interest over the 30 years, and they're not total. Well, we know the 70 million is what's used here as principal, and we have the individual yearly costs based on interest of 4.25%. But do you know the total for that?
Total for?
The interest payments over 30 years. And I have something I can refer to.
You know, I do on my spreadsheet, I believe I got cut off for the
Yeah.
image, so I can send.
Well, let me make the point anyway, because we don't need a lot of numbers. So I have an exhibit that I think goes with the school. Jim gave it to me, and it's $58 million of principal, financed at 3.58%. And the interest payments over 30 years were $38 million. So the total cost of that project to the taxpayer was $96 million. And these numbers may not be exactly,
So
it just gives you an idea.
what I should mention, so the numbers that I started out with what Mr. Hartnett had given us as far as I think it was it an $80 million bond, I think, and also that included a debt service payment of $6 million for the first year, and so I just took that, used the correct schedules to make it a level payment, and I do actually have the number for the interest. This is again at a 4.25%. It would be $55,156,000 and change.
So the total's over $100 million.
For the bond interest, yeah. So the total would be, the total cost would be about 125 and change.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to draw the comparison, because this is a bigger project than the middle high school,
Yes, indeed.
in terms of what the taxpayers had to pay, because the town was aided by the state, giving us 40 or 50% of that. So we didn't have to finance the $100 million for that
We also have a
building.
very favorable financing rate.
Yeah. Yeah, as and it's pointed out here, too. But I just wanted to draw that comparison, because that's really going to be what people are going to want to know about. The last question, I think, is sort of derives from the first couple. If let's assume we're going for a debt exclusion at some point, and it fails, what would you say is the backup plan? Or is that right in front of me with these other options, like the four that you have?
I guess the situation is, as I've said time and again, whatever we do is going to cost money. Even if we want to demolish it, it's going to cost money. So I think that as far as backup plans go, there comes a point where the town's going to have to move one way or the other. And I think that by presenting this option, by presenting an option that serves the entire population of Westport, I'm glad you mentioned this. This is more than the high school. There's no question. And I think that by potentially having the ability to serve the entire population, that offsets that a little bit, I would say. But I think it's important to give the town an option to create this municipal civic center, whatever you want to call it. And if they choose, if the town votes not to proceed, then we got to, I hate to say it, we got to start from square one again and decide, all right, well, are we going to do a debt exclusion to get the $5 million to tear it down and sell it? And I mean, so there's, it's got to be up to the town, but I think with all the work that has been done on this, from the long-term building committee that I've been a member of, but also in years past, we've studied it over and over again. I think this is the most comprehensive study that's been done that's looked at every aspect of town buildings. I think we owe it to the town to present this as a question. Sort of off topic not off topic, but off from my duties as the chair of the long-term building committee, I will tell you that I intend to give you guys a break and not put the decision on whether to call a town meeting on you. It is my intention to circulate a petition that would require 200 town voters to call a special town meeting. So at least that's one of the reasons there's no action item on this at this time for you all.
I just have one question. If we decide to knock it down and sell it, if that's even an option that we can do, because we need to look into, I do know that land was donated to the town, and we need to look at how it was donated to the town, if it was only for school use, if it's going to revert back to the original owners, if we don't. We got some other issues like with the landing and the Masons, and we got some stuff with the Holy Ghost Club. So we need to look at how we acquired that property before we decide if we can knock it down and sell it.
Well, I agree, and I think that The only option that I see as not being an option, frankly, is knocking it down and selling it. You'd be losing one of the largest, if not the largest parcel that the town owns. You have the question of the public water supply, you have the question of the athletic fields, the school facilities, the school, administrative office. I think that if we don't do anything with this building that we have that has excellent bones and still, it needs some code updates, it needs some work to be a viable campus for the community for the next 50 years and beyond. But you're looking at, if you're just talking about just deleting an asset, and we're still going to be sitting here trying to figure out how much money we have to borrow to replace everything we just tore down. So to me, that tearing it down and selling it is really the only option that makes absolutely no sense, and that's.
So Mr. Soares has been asking this question for quite a while, right? So have you guys not looked into this about the ownership and the title of the property? I mean, I think that's an important thing to understand.
So our charge was to look at options. We were directed to look at the existing high school and to give different ideas of the existing high school. One of them was not tearing it down.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, we did discuss it.
A point, not a suggestion, which is every one of these buildings that were covered by this study are ticking time bombs in terms of their age, their suitability for what they're doing, and the needs for what they're meeting. And so we're looking at one sort of suggested approach and the cost of that. But if you take it off the table, the other buildings issues and needs and cost are not going to go away.
Yeah.
The combined solution was offering, albeit at some expense, a way to deal with, at least in terms of needs going forward of the town, with this in a more comprehensive way, and as well as dealing with unmet needs and programs that we know that we're above capacity at the senior center. We would do many more things at the senior center and have waiting lists for various programs. And when you look at the annex, it's only a matter of time. We went through that last year when we had to replace a well at without any notice. So you're right about that. Is that we have to take, we decided as a committee to take an approach, to make a proposal, put it up for a discussion and a vote, and then if that didn't work, we wouldn't be going away and saying, oh, that's no longer a problem. It's just a new set of problems.
And just one thing I wanted to add on top of all of this is we've been showing some renderings, been showing some space allocations and everything. These designs aren't set in stone. The key is trying to come up with a number of what it's going to take to get it to a usable and very functional facility. And so I don't want anybody to think that the square footage of any particular program is set in stone, or even there's dedicated space, but there's also space that can be utilized by multiple town entities and town departments. So it's important to, in my estimation, it's important to move forward trying to meet the needs of all these problems.
There's also other options, which we didn't really actively explore. You could put a community health center in a building that the town owns, and you could get a partner in let's use for example the local health system, South Coast Health. Then these would be investors in the project that would put their own capital into renovating that portion of the community campus. So it doesn't have to 100% fall on the town. We also have UMass system with a law school and a university nearby. Are there things in their needs that could be take advantage of this? Because they have facilities all over. They have facilities here. They have facilities in Fairhaven. They have facilities in New Bedford and in Dartmouth. So but it's not a one solution that the town has to pay for, but for illustrative purposes and for what we thought was the best idea, we came with this approach.
So, oh, go ahead, Jack.
No, you can go.
So, so I think now that we have a proposal, so we have the recommended approach from the committee, and you presented that for us, and there's a lot more information now. So what's your plan now to get input from the public? The public input that you had before was, what should we do? It was kind of ideation, right? But now that you have a proposal, is there a plan for getting more public input on the particular proposal?
So, short answer is yes. We're certainly going to meet as long-term building committee next to plan another public meeting. Again, my thought was that we'd circulate a petition to call a special town meeting for the fall. And of course, there would be additional sessions or public meeting sessions in advance of that, whether from the town or separately. But yeah, I mean, again, short answer, yes. There's the idea is to get as much information out there to the townspeople before any vote takes place.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This isn't going to be like a cross-examination, so you can tell me to shut up if you want, Shauna, at a time. But I think the concern I have is that these numbers are all getting thrown around. You're going to meet with the public, and I don't know where the 19 million comes from. I don't know where the 65 million. I mean, I know you're doing modeling, and my honest opinion, I think the modeling is somewhat suspect. But the modeling, do you have breakdowns of how you're getting to that $65 million?
Yes.
And I think that needs to be pretty specific and shown at that next town meeting as how you're getting to that. Because right now, in this point in time, I haven't found a single person to support this plan in town. It's laughable. And I don't understand, the agenda on this. I mean, let's look at this. Dartmouth Police Station, right? They had an issue with health issues with it, but they were talking about, let's use that for more town offices. In 2016, they put it up for a vote for $8.4 million to renovate that, and it handily was defeated. Handily. That's in 2016 at $8.4 million. We're going to go to the voters of Westport and ask for $70 million? It's not going to work. I mean, the time and effort put into this, I can tell you right now, it won't even be close. And looking at the building specifically, the modeling or the probable costs, I'm not going to pretend to be a trained economist, but we're looking at stuff like, we have this town hall. We had a heat pump vote a couple months ago, which I voted against specifically. It was a $900,000 heat pump, but then on your modeling for the town hall, you have HVAC upgrades 5 to 10 years out at $360,000. And I know this is just generic based on building age and how it's going to work out. But how are we doing a heat pump for $900,000 the next 1 to 5 years, and then 5 to 10 years we got a $360,000, and then further out it's the same difference. Window replacement, which I argued when we had that heat pump situation. How are you going to put a heat pump in basically a building that's a sieve? So we're talking about window replacement of $400,000. But I mean the numbers between the town hall annex and the town hall are pretty comparable. How can the cost be the same when we're dealing with the same square footage, different square footage of the facilities? So in order to get any buy-in, which, again, I don't think you will, you have to give more specifics on this stuff. I mean, the generic modeling just doesn't work in this situation, especially when you're going to go to the taxpayers and ask them to foot a bill of $550 a year on their property taxes, which I know is not going to happen. But even in looking at the facilities in the building, would you agree that the old high school is probably one of the best ADA compliant buildings out of the portfolio of town buildings?
Of the ones we looked at?
Well, there's only...
Yeah. You've asked a bunch of questions. Could I answer those?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, all estimates are derived, the word estimate is not an exact, it's an estimate. And they're derived by these conceptuals. They're also derived by professionals who do this. Who would have guessed that inflation would have hit 25% in the last 5 years, right? No one would have guessed that. So we look at inflation every year. We look at what could happen. And then we had to put all the buildings on the same scale, the same denominator. So I couldn't look at a building that was a bond of 30 years versus a town hall that I could fix in 3, because the scale would be off. So I had to look at projections. We looked at everything to 30 years. So that you look at an average life of a system. You used an example of the town hall for a mechanical system. Mechanical systems usually last 20 to 25 years before they get redone. That doesn't include any kind of code changes or inferences to how we work in a system. The world will change in 25 years from now, so we don't know what to expect in terms of, will the town continue to grow? Will it stay the same size? So those are where your estimates come in. So we looked at a 30-year graduation effect of what could happen, what could transfer in an older building. Lastly, an older building like that has a lifespan. Everything has a lifespan. This desk has a lifespan. So when you're taking a 150-year-old building and now you're adding 30 more years to it, it incrementally does other things that we didn't talk about. Maybe the structure itself becomes weaker. Maybe it gets infested in bug-borne diseases that the building has to be taken down at one point. So you look at all those things. So the only thing we could look equalized would be the 30-year mark, and that's what we did on an estimate. Now, we were going by what typically happens in the field, what has a cost today, and you elevate them by escalation costs in the future, and that's how you come up with those numbers. So even though the building in the high school, your last question, may seem to be the most ADA compliant, the building code doesn't look at, well, it's close. The building code does it comply? So even the high school, if it's better than, say, the annex as far as accessibility, they both still fail. So you both have to bring them up to that. And then the last thing I want to talk about is flexibility. That third scheme that we came up with has the most flexibility. Every other option you have, you're boxed into, you have to do at that point, where the third one you can phase, you can take it apart, you can move as you need it. As Mr. Dutra said, if you had a different entity come in to the building at a later time that wants to rent it, wants to fit it out, that's always open to do that as well. As Andrew mentioned, the white box, we do it all the time. And there's towns, we're working with the town of Coventry, Rhode Island, that's renovating an old high school to do very similar to what you're doing, and they're pretty much being successful at that at this point. They don't know what the future is. They're hoping that that white box happens and someone else comes in. And I think, as Chris alluded to, the third option looks at the whole town. You're not going out for a school bond that just talks about families with kids, or a police bond that just talks about police. This is a bond that attracts every voter, that will help every voter.
And I agree with you completely on that, but I didn't think the number was 70 million. I think you could have got buy-in, and you can get buy-in from the seniors, from parents, from children, from everybody with respect to wanting a community center, but not to the tune of $65 million.
So I can take that new buildings right now, because you got prevailing wage, you're a town. So mass law says I have to pay prevailing wage. Prevailing wage looks at new construction right now at about $750 to $800 a foot. And renovation costs are $400 a foot. Simply do the math, right? So 100 is 80 million, right? 150 would be 120 million. So for 65 million or 70 million, as you put it, it's a pretty good deal because you're using the existing building. The bones of that building are really good. They're positioned well. There's no heaves. There's no cracks. The structure isn't settling. It needs to be brought up to code.
Just one more question. So on the change of code of the building itself, currently it's being used by rec department. There's a rec, there's basketball in there, and there's an after-school program during the school year. How does, I'll put it bluntly, and I've said it in the past, I mean, are the kids not safe in that building right now?
Are they safe, or does it meet code?
Well, what would, at the end of the day, if you were to bring something else in there, another town office, what changes that use?
So right now, its current use is still school use.
Okay.
It's existing non-conforming, as they call it, because you've never closed it. You've always remained it open. As soon as you change the use to a different use, then it becomes a different use, and you have to attach it or attack it a different way.
But where does that different use come in? Because we have administrative offices in there, right? So you have school children and you have town offices in there.
They're called ancillary. Ancillary uses when you have a school admin department. Yeah, it's ancillary. Like you have a car dealership and you have offices up front, it's still a car dealership with mechanics in the back.
But if you were to bring in any other town offices, that's going to trigger a change?
Yes, that would be a business use, that's right. That's correct. A senior center is a business use, yes.
And town hall and annex.
Anything else from the board? All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was trying to think of what I wanted to ask. I had the thought. Maybe this goes to Mr. Thrasher, but it goes to town meeting, special town meeting. Do you envision, when you gentlemen envision, this is the one option we put before the voters at town meeting, or do we put something more like the 4 options there? What is your advice?
I think that it's important to give the option that solves as many problems as possible, and that's why the committee chose to recommend the 3rd option. And I think that that's the one that needs to be put to the town first. And, you know, we'll see what happens. I would push back a little bit on Mr. McGugan. I certainly know I certainly know a lot of people who are in favor of it. People that I wouldn't have thought in a million years would be in favor of a tax increase. The fact that I'm up here arguing for a tax increase should probably tell you, I mean, this is not something I would normally do. So, you know, this is something that, again, if we don't take action, this could be a situation where the town is penny wise and pound foolish. There are savings to be had. There's an upfront cost, but there are savings to be had over the course of the next 30 years at a minimum when it comes to the maintenance of all these other buildings. And the problems that we have, the need for space that we have, the COA bursting at the seams, you know, if you get rid of the building, again, you have to replace what it is being used for. None of those problems are solved if we don't try to take some course of action. So, you know.
Question to you. So, the code upgrade, and we have existing uses, school, administration, and we decide we want to move the senior center in there, and we take a section of the building. Does that trigger a code upgrade in the whole building, or do we just have to do that area?
Unfortunately, we already looked into that. It does trigger a code in the entire building, yes. You know, one of the benefits of this 3rd scheme is you break the buildings apart. You deal with them separately. There's separate mechanical systems, separate construction types. You can control cost a little bit more effectively than just 155,000 times X.
We don't have to spend that money all at that time?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
That's good.
Exactly. Same thing with the town hall.
And like you were saying, you got to upgrade the mechanicals anyway.
You do. You do. They're antiquated.
Anything else from the board before I go to the audience?
I would just like to add, that I did have a little more to go on that special town meeting. I think we need to think this through as to what we would actually present to the voters. Because it is a fact now that the voters know, who are paying attention, that there are a number of options have been considered. And if they're not all presented, that could be a problem. There could be a backlash on that if we only present one option. So I'm not yet, well, we have some time to go on this anyway, but I'm not sure that that's the way to go. But I'll be open to discussion and further analysis on that. And it will be the select board that determines the articles.
Yes.
We,
Go ahead.
we've skipped a step in this discussion, and it was part of the committee's recommendation, but I don't think we've brought it out in the last few minutes. Before the special town meeting, there would be a public meeting that would do the presentation and talk about the options with the objective, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we would use that to shape how we would frame the discussion at the special town meeting.
Okay.
So we've been talking a lot about jumping from today's presentation to a special town meeting, but we had this other step, and the timing of that was, and correct me if I'm wrong, so we wanted it to after Labor Day and before the holidays, so that it was figured somewhere between Labor Day and Veterans Day, we would want to have a public meeting timed in such a way that we could also do a special town meeting.
Yes, and just process-wise, once a petition would be delivered with a specific, so basically, we put a specific warrant article draft within the petition,
But Mr. Thrasher.
But it could
that
also,
was
but
not a
then
rec-
you all could add, that's what I'm saying, you all could add
but
articles.
Mr. Thrasher, that was not a recommendation of the committee.
That was not a recommendation of the committee.
that-
That is
that was
correct.
a-
That is, as I
that was
said, that is a
chair's
separate, that
prerogative.
is a separate thing.
I just want to underline,
But-
we would be required to put whatever is petitioned, but we would have the option of putting whatever we
Right.
want.
Exactly.
And it's not a recommendation, the petition is not a recommendation of the committee.
That is also correct, yes.
Okay.
Typically, people petition if the select board refuses to call a town meeting. But that's, I mean, it has to go that way.
Well, if for no other reason to show you, there's at least 200 people that would want
Fair
this,
enough.
you know?
Fair enough.
So as I said, trying to take the onus off you all to begin with anyway, so.
All right, anything else from the board? I'm going to open it up to the public if anybody has any comments. Just need to go to the microphone. You just need to go to the microphone.
It's a long discussion. David Lalima, member of the Council on Aging Board, Advisory Board, the author of the IDEA Campus, Community Campus, which I fathered maybe in November and shared with many of you here. And I applaud the idea that some people have embraced the concept of a community campus because regardless of finances, that's what this town needs. It's imperative going forward with so many seniors that we need a community center. And in our discussions over time, we have incorporated the schools, we've incorporated the rec department. We see this as, in the idea, as a comprehensive program for the entire town. So applaud Chris and people who are taking the idea and at least trying to frame it in a way that may be saleable. Quite frankly, I'm appalled that this idea of mine that went to the council ends up with a $70 million price tag. I feel like, whoa, what just happened? Went on steroids. That wasn't ever the idea. I met with, myself and Eileen met with Shauna months ago, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and I know maybe there's a little bit of hyperbolic. It wasn't going to cost a dime. We didn't think it wasn't going to cost a dime, but we never, ever thought it was going to cost $70 million. And one of the reasons that we moved into this direction was we were arguing, notwithstanding architects and engineers, that we weren't going to change the use of the building, which wouldn't require costly upgrades, which we know trigger. And yet I hear here that in some ways, okay, that no matter what you do, who you bring in, all these things get triggered, okay? I'm not sure of that. The lawyer in me says, you show me the documents that require me to do that, then maybe I will believe you. But I do not believe you right now. And personally, I don't believe $70 million will ever sell, even though the idea is perfect for this town. Now, there is a sort of offshoot possibility here, and that is, and I don't know if I agree that if you block off this portion of the building and you use it for education, and quite frankly, the Council on Aging can't use 5,000, 10,000. We need 20,000. We're huge. We have 8,000 people who are seniors in this town, and the cohort behind them is this big. And they're going to need services. So the town needs this. It's a need for the town. We have to figure out how to get the yes, not the how to get the no. I don't hear people here trying to get the yes here. I do not hear it. And if you think $70 million is getting to yes, I don't know what you're drinking. It's not going to happen. Maybe 15 million. I don't know. I don't even know what we need the money for code enhancements. But I'm not sure I believe all the code enhancements are required for what we phased. What we wanted to do is phase this in at a time and take all the capital improvements that are warranted and needed and put a price tag on them and a time frame on them. Like, we know, we hear you. We just don't want to do it all at once. We want to do it in a proactive way. And if you were going to find a town department to be the spearhead of this, if there's any in this town, there's no pejorative to any other school department or to any other department in the town. But the Council on Aging has a budget of $230,000 from the town and $750,000 running it, please. We know how to run things. We know how to make money. We made a presentation, fee-driven. We'll pay for this. Give us a chance to incrementally prove that this is going on. Now, I don't know. I like the idea of maybe sectioning off the campus section. The campus idea was an ethereal idea of a large place. But we could have separate I don't know if you, I'm hearing them say, if you take the building and a portion of it gets demolished and you can't get to that part, do we change the code for the whole building? Can we segregate it out? I want to have a bunch of people sitting in a room, problem solving how to get to yes. That's all I want. I want a problem solving people getting to yes, not getting to no. And quite frankly, with all due respect, $70 million is not getting to yes. I just don't see it happening, Chris. I just don't see it happening, okay? So have a dialogue, try to figure out. I don't think we never envisioned, ever, commingling the problem of town hall with the high school. That's a non-starter for me. I'm sorry, okay? We can try to bring, and you can figure out with the zoning and board and codes about which portions of the town, Veterans Affairs, maybe nursing, could we bring them over there? Could we do that? We never intend, by the way, just so you know, the Council on Aging, we'd like to stay at the annex because that is providing supportive daycare. And if we were moving, we wanted to move exercising classes, tech classes, all these educational things, exercise, what kids are doing at the high school now, we'd be doing. Seniors would be doing what children are doing. Nothing's changed. So somehow, there's been a moratorium on the council moving over there, even though there's already a history of present activity at the high school. So how is it different? If children are there and we ask if adults can go there, you can't go. I don't know why. Okay, maybe somebody will give me an answer. It's, again, not me. I don't warrant the answer. You give it to Beverly, you give it to the council. But we can't advertise for more exercise for seniors because we have no room. And we would leave the supportive day at the annex. It makes money. We don't even get any money from the town. It's independently provided for, and we would move all our other educational services to the high school. We would try to get second half educational component. We would only focus in the beginning to satisfy what you tell us is the demand. And yet, we hardly have a voice. I called these guys twice, never called back. I don't have any input. I'm standing here today, and I stood at another meeting. That's it. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Manny?
No, I thank him too. I think he was right spot on. They want it. We don't know how to pay for it. But how is it not an educational facility? Just because we're seniors?
I just want to add my personal commentary to this. We've had 2 code compliance reports that say that any change of use, in fact, we probably already have, triggered a change of use in code compliance. I'm really worried about putting anybody in there, including the people who are there right now, into a building that we know is not code compliant. It's been mostly vacant for the last 3-4 years, right? I worry a lot about this argument about we don't have to be code compliant, because I worry a lot about the liability that the town would face if something happens in that building. And I've got professionals saying it triggers code compliance. I have professionals saying that senior education is not the same as K-12 education. And I don't like the price tag either, but I worry a lot about putting a person potentially in a dangerous situation because they are in a non-compliant building. I think from what I've heard at some of these meetings that we shouldn't have anybody in there at all right now. But I struggle a lot with that because, the school administration's there and, I struggle a lot with what we do if we don't put people there. So I'm very conflicted, but I'm really worried about the argument about we don't have to be code compliant. I worry a lot about that.
I think what I heard him say was that was the most compliant building we have.
It doesn't mean it's, no, it's not, does not, because it's the most compliant does not mean it complies.
Right.
So's this one doesn't comply either.
It doesn't. You're right. But we're not changing use on this one, so we're getting away with it. We're getting away with not being
We got away
compliant
with
in this
changing use on it
building.
because it was a school before.
Well, we've been in this use for a long time. I worry a lot about that. Jake, did you have something, or you?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Just in support, everybody I talk to wants this, and now that we have the numbers, 500 and something a year, I think it will be okay. A Corey check. If you're in a building with children, you need to have a Corey check.
Fine, we already had a system for that.
So we're not going to cross talk.
Okay, yeah,
so-
that's it, just.
All right, thank you.
I'll try to be brief. I think the $70 million price tag is a non-starter at town meeting, but I don't think we should do nothing. I would suggest that we look at a partner situation in which someone with money comes to do the code compliant work. So who could those someone be? So if you look at taking the high school, if you look at the gym and the south end, the 1970 edition, so you've got that end of the building. If you looked at all of the classroom and the central wing, the cafeteria and all of that, and thought of that as partnering with council on, partnering with a senior housing developer, and that you'd use the value of the cafeteria, the kitchen, all of that as the town's equity in a partnership. So we put up the building, they bring the development expertise to come in and develop housing. We certainly need housing. If we look at a lot of our citizens who live in the north end of town, they bought their homes 40 or 50 years ago. Essentially, it's their only asset, but they can't afford to move. There's no place for people to move. And we also need accessibility for our veterans, and particularly affordability around their specialties. So if we look at using that portion of the asset that we have, a cafeteria, the library, all of those things, and if we talked to town council and thought that there is some structure for partnering in which the town puts up an asset that we have, I think the last thing I think it would be a desperate last move to tear the building down. That would just be bearing costs with no essential return. So it's trying to look at some way to capture the asset, and I think the only real practical way of doing it is looking at a partner in which we look for someone with this asset. If that looked like it was feasible, then to engage real skilled attorneys in this type of not-for-profit development and put out an RFP. And I think if we look at what's easily transferred into housing, so the classrooms become housing units, I think if you look at those portions, there are things that are not easily converted. The gym, the auditorium. If we committed to the Council on Aging or the rec program or any of those things in those spaces, we could make that a condition in the agreement, the development agreement. That is, certainly the Council on Aging uses in the gym and in the south end of the building are consistent with elderly and senior housing. The training they do on computers is the same kind of training that the people who are going to reside there will need. So I think there's some compatibility. But the point I'd like to make is that we need to pursue an opportunity. We find someone that we can partner with money, so it doesn't all fall on the taxpayers. And I think there's a possibility to do that, and I think it doesn't take a lot. That is, it's discussions with town council. If it looks like such an arrangement is possible, then it's finding an RFP and seeing if we can find someone. So I think that's a step that we need to take. We don't have money, let's see if we can find someone with money.
Thank you.
So if I could raise one thing on that, one of the first things we looked at was the systems that exist, the water systems, the sewage systems. Right now, it doesn't have public sewer, public water. It's all private well and septic. So whenever you add the word housing, you multiply the effects of some of the sewage systems that you're going to need. So the answer to that would be a public system, and I don't believe a public system's in the cards right now. I believe that bond was turned down a few years ago in this town. So that's why we tried to push it towards business. When you keep a business, I don't need bathrooms, I don't need tubs, I don't need showers. I lighten up on that use. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Yeah.
Anybody else?
I'm just going to make one quick comment. I'm a registered professional engineer in the state of Mass, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. I worked with RGB. I've in town here, I've done small buildings from Bayco's, Primacare. I've worked on the police station, the fire station, and most recently our new middle high school. And my concern right now is that 70 million, I don't think is enough. And we're gonna have a tough time selling the 70 million. We have to design to the new stretch code. And I know on the mechanical system, we mentioned $60 to $90 a square foot. A year ago I retired, but last few projects that I worked on, mechanical systems were going over $100 a square foot. So that stretch code has really pushed the square footage costs up from what I saw. I don't know if they've balanced out or anything, but they've pushed that up. And so we're talking about $70 million, having a tough time. I think we might be looking at more.
Thank you. Did you want to comment on that?
So our thoughts on the system would you'd have integrated systems. So Richard's a great engineer. I've worked with him. I've known him for years as well. Prices are escalating. So you want to be able, that's why the third option was do it all now versus doing it in increments, because you can't control the cost. I believe I brought up with Jake about the cost of increments going up. But we would look at different alternative systems because of the type of use. So in a gym, you'd have different type of, maybe a split system in there with some proper ventilation, which is less expensive. Heat pumps, we try to push that in there. Where other systems, more business use, we use more technical, more expensive systems.
All right, anything else from the board? All right, any final comments, Christopher, you guys? All right, so we look forward to hearing about the public meetings that's being scheduled. So we look forward to that. I'm sure Craig will keep us up to date. Yep. And thank you very much. We'll put this, the materials that we have are they on the website yet? Let's put them on the town website so we can look at all the PDF that we had. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Jim.
Okay. You're going to get unhooked here, but the next item we had on the agenda is license for, we have a request from Anthony Tortolano, AGT Auto Group, Inc., doing business as Auto Buyer Pro. The doing business as to auto via exchange. So Jim, you want to explain this to us?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
the license that, the name that they came in with when they went to register it had already been taken, so they've just requested a change in name. No other changes to the site plan, no other changes to the business, just the name change.
Okay, so just the name
Recommend
change.
approval.
Thank you.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We have a request from Christopher Thrasher,
Get him back. Come back in.
Chair of the School Committee, to appoint Dr. Fran Roy to the Opioid Settlement Advisory Board and School Building Committee.
So, yes, guess what? I don't have to say much here. No, Dr. Roy has begun her tenure as superintendent. It's been very good over the past month or so, and we would like to get her on these committees as soon as possible, and she is here as well if you have any questions. So.
Did we have a resignation from Tom? Did Tom Aubin resign from the School Building Committee?
So that position is specifically for the superintendent.
Okay.
Was my understanding.
Okay, so it's for the superintendent.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
The resignation, yes.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Madam
Yes, go ahead.
Chair, we don't have a member here.
Oh, so that was 4 in favor with 1 absent. I didn't notice he wasn't there.
That was a previous vote, too.
We have a request to reappoint Maury May, Joe Rio, Jose Amaral, and Bob Daler to the Infrastructure Oversight Committee. And I think, Manny, you were talking about making a change to this.
Well, so since I was removed from this last committee, in the last meeting, and I wasn't here.
You were not reappointed to the committee at the last
so
meeting.
Why was I not reappointed? Is there some-
You did not request reappointment, and we voted to appoint Jake.
Okay, so when was I supposed to request reappointment?
Well, you missed several meetings.
Why did I miss those meetings?
I am not aware of why you missed those meetings.
I did bring the books to the town hall, requested why. Because I didn't have any access to any of my stuff. I asked Jimmy about that, so I would, it's just like, we got an executive session, and, I don't know, was there some kind of complaints for this executive session? Were they in writing, were they?
About you?
Yes.
There was no executive session involving you during your absence.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with me and that.
There was nothing involving you in any executive session, and I understand you've been given the minutes of the executive session.
No, I don't have the minutes. I looked through this, I don't have.
Did you, Paula,
I looked through, I don't have those executive sessions.
there was nothing discussing you in that executive session. It was related to another employee.
They haven't been, for the last meeting, Manny?
Yeah, no, because, I asked for some stuff, Jim, through you and the text.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be looking to possibly go into executive session in the next meeting, and some of this stuff has to do with it, where, I'm not supposed to.
Well, right now, we're talking about
so
appointing to the Infrastructure Oversight
And
Committee.
I was the chairman of that committee, and the last meeting I attended, we weren't gonna have a meeting until September, so I was assuming that I was gonna be appointed. So if somebody said for me not to be appointed, I would just like to know who said not to appoint me.
There was a vote.
Okay, so you guys voted not to appoint me?
We voted not to appoint you as the Select Board
So
representative, yes,
there's a
that's correct.
vacancy in here.
No, there's a Select Board,
Oh, look in the vacancies, there's a vacancy on the Infrastructure Oversight Committee.
okay.
So I would like to be reappointed to the,
Well, I'm not going to allow your reappointment under this agenda item because your name is not on here, right? But if you want to request a reappointment on the next meeting so that we can properly post
Jim,
your
could I do
name.
that? Post that? And I believe I don't have to be selectman, I'd like Jake to stay on. And I think there's a position where I can still be on, where I'm on the planning board for the next 4 years.
Fine. We can, if there's a vacancy, you can request to be reappointed at the next meeting.
That's what I will do.
Okay. Now, what about tonight's reappointment for Maury May, Joe Rio, Jose Amaral, and Bob Daler? My understanding was that you had a concern about appointing one of
I'm
these
not
people.
going to vote in favor of Joe Rio.
All right, so you are suggesting that we appoint Maury, Jose, and Bob, but not appoint Joe Rio?
Correct.
I move approval of the candidates as recommended.
So all 4?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have 4 in favor and 1 opposed. We have a request from Matt Armendo to appoint Catherine Cabral as Shared Community Health Specialist for the South Coast Public Health Collaborative. Do we have anyone here to talk about that?
Move approval?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 in favor, 1 opposed. We have a request from the Holy Ghost Club at 171 Sodom Road for one-day liquor licenses for 179 Sodom Road. So we have Saturday, August 9, a blood drive from 11 to 3. Sunday, August 17, clam boil from 12 to 5. Saturday, August 23, holistic wellness from 12 to 6. And Sunday, August 24, a fundraiser from 12 to 6. They all have the paperwork in order and have received favorable police reports.
Motion to approve.
Second, Madam Chair.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have an additional one that's going to go on before, he said he could make it into the 18th. I did tell him prior to this meeting, and this date was available. So this is a fundraiser for the veterans. It's going to become we're looking, this is the first annual fundraiser. It's going to be a motorcycle run for the veterans, by the veterans. And it's scheduled for 7:30. And the reason I wanted to bring it up in this meeting is so that we can get the advertisement out, because we've got a large turnout. And this is going to be the first annual. And it's going to be called The Eye of the Storm. And we're going to be looking to highlight families each year. And this year, we're looking to highlight the Andrews family in Desert Storm with one of the founding fathers of the Holy Ghost Club, with the Andrews and the Martins. And Scott Andrews was killed in Desert Storm with 3 other people. And there's a memorial in North Park, but it's from his family, so we want to do this family. This year is going to be the Andrews family.
All right, so I'd like to action this first, and then we'll do that request next. So right now, the motion on the table is for the ones that were listed in the agenda. Is there any further discussion on those? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then you're requesting from a under 48-hour rule. And what were the dates and the time on that one?
7:30, and it's 12 to 5.
So what's the date? The date? 8, August 30th, from 12 to 5. And you're requesting that we handle that outside the agenda so that we can do advertising for the event. Okay. So are you moving that?
Yes, I moved that.
Okay.
Second.
And we have paperwork for that one? No.
I just have the application.
All right, so can we just amend the motion to approve pending receipt of the proper paperwork? All right, and you move the second?
That's fine.
Second,
Right.
agreed.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's unanimous. We have a request from the Infrastructure Oversight Committee to support the funding plan for an extension of the existing water line funded by grants and matching funds. Mr. Daler.
Thank you for reappointing me. I think.
Bob did,
As
I
you-
was at that meeting, and Bob sat in for me because I had missed some other meetings because I was detained in a way. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome, Annie. As you all know, we have a congressional direct spending earmark for nearly $1 million that we have now that was Congressman Keating got for us for infrastructure in the north end of town and the Route 6 corridor. And we have learned that we received another one for fiscal year '26 for a little over $1 million. Both of those are committed to, and they are use them or lose them grants. That is, if we don't use the money, then we lose it. They also have a matching requirement from the town. So we need to look to raise some money. The Infrastructure Oversight Committee at our meeting in June voted to use those funds to continue to extend the water system in the north end of town, to go into the neighborhoods off of Route 6 and continue to bring water into those older, small lots and get them off their wells, and many of which are not very good. So that was our vote. And we would do the same thing with the second grant when that becomes eligible in October 1st of this year. We're fortunate that last year, the governor passed and signed a $750 million bill to raise state funds to match the local share requirements of federal funding. And Maury May has been very active in working with Senator Rodericks to get a contact in finance and administration in the infrastructure and oversight, their their administrative office. So we have had that contact, and we have in the process of preparing a grant application for the state matching fund. So we'll see where that comes. But if we get some of that or all of that, we're essentially have $2 million in federal monies available to us. We need around $200,000 for each $1 million. We need around $200,000, so we need around $400,000. We're applying to the state to raise that money. And then if we get that, then we'll have it, the town will have all the funding that we could spend.
I just want to interrupt you. Is this the grant that we have a letter saying that we got it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so first match, we just got, the end of last week, we got a letter from the governor's office saying that they will match $239,000 to the first earmark. The second one we don't have yet.
Okay, so there's two earmarks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hopefully it's coming. But essentially what we need now is the $200,000 for at least the first match in order to be able to use the $959,752 that we've got. So our recommendation is that we apply for the state funds, and whatever shortfall there is, we go to town meeting and either look for free cash or something to make up the difference so that we can continue to bring water into the north end of the town.
And so what are you looking for from the board tonight?
What we're looking for is consensus around the idea that we should continue this water. I don't need the grant. We're in the process of applying for the state grant, so
So the first one we got, and the second one we're going to apply for.
Right.
So, so you're applying for another grant and you don't have a specific, you have several in mind, but you don't have a specific project outlined yet, right? You have some.
We have a depending on how much money we have specific projects that we would tackle.
Okay, but
We
you're
have
not asking us
neighborhoods.
to approve a specific
No.
project? You're just asking for general support when you go to,
Right.
because your plan is to go to the CIPC in September?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have?
Yeah, I'm confused. In our package, there was a mention of one of the grants of $1 million, and we had to match it to the tune of $289 or something like that.
239,000.
Yep.
So that's not what Mr. Daler is talking about.
Yes, it's
The second one.
it's the same.
All right, well.
Jim had it in his report. This
Okay,
is
so
not additional. This is the
It's
same
the
one.
same one. My question was going to be, where are we getting that $230,000 from?
We're trying to get it from the state funds that they have appropriated to match federal grants.
Okay.
So there's $750 million, and we're preparing a loan application to get this first 239.
Okay, that answers the
No, we
question.
already have the first 239. We don't have the second.
We got commitment for the first 239, we still have to file the application. The
Right.
second 239, we have not applied for
Correct.
or requested yet.
Okay, but your point was if we are applying for another grant, but that grant will need matching funds.
Yes.
And so if we're going to apply to try to get from the state match, but if we didn't get that, we would have to go to town meeting and get money from somewhere else. But we also we haven't engaged any contract yet, so if we didn't get the money, we could not do the project.
No, that's correct. If we don't have this money, we're not going to build any.
Right, okay.
And we just got confirmation, I'm sorry, we just got confirmation on that Thursday, so this is
Pretty new.
relatively new.
Okay, go ahead.
So the match on the first one,
It's good.
that's the same source that
The
Mr.
state has
Taylor?
agreed to give us that match.
Okay.
There's still a loan process, you gotta sign the
Yeah,
contract.
all right. It's coming from that matching fund that you alluded to. The state matching fund.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. We have a matching fund, or we're supposed to match it, so we go to the state to get the fund to match it. Well, it's fine with me, but
Dick, the governor saw that towns are all struggling to do this, and she got a bill passed that put $750,000 available to towns. 750 million, I should say, available.
Yeah, well, good. I'm happy with that answer.
So Bob, when's your next meeting?
We haven't set that yet. Now that we got a committee appointed, we'll get that meeting set for
I
September.
thought we had a meeting, we had a meeting set for September, last meeting we had.
Yeah, we haven't, we're looking to see whether or not we have the space and everything.
So we're gonna have to vote for a chair since I wasn't reappointed and I'm no longer a chair, so.
And now that the committee is all real
Put this on a
appointed.
discussion in the planning board and put me on for the planning board. I talked to Burris today. Did he say anything to you?
It's the outside of the scope of this conversation.
Not outside the scope of
It
the
is
conversation.
outside the scope.
It
We're
was
talking
the
about
chair
whether we're
of
going to
this committee.
support the water line.
And I was for support of it in the last meeting. So,
Okay.
you know, I don't need a feather in my cap over it. I'm just glad it's getting done. But I offered my time to this meeting, and because for some reason I wasn't able to make a select board meeting, which I had a perfectly good excuse, and I had already brought in the paperwork, why I couldn't meet it, for why I haven't been able to meet meetings since March. That's all. Just trying to find out what's going on.
So you don't have a date for your next meeting yet? Okay. Anything else, Bob? Oh, wait, Terry, you had something.
Just want to put it on record. A lot of people ask me why you're continuing with this water and sewer project on Route 6 when they voted no. So could you tell them on TV why you're continuing with this Route 6
Well, there's
project?
no continuation of sewer. There is no sewer project on the table.
Just water. I just want it on TV so I can say, go watch the meeting to
The
people.
vote was to spend these grant monies that the town has on extending the water system.
Just the water.
Just the
And
Go
this
ahead,
is-
Jim.
This is all, so far, it's all been state and federal money. It has not been money from the Westport operating budget. And we do hear negative, we hear a lot of negative, but as we put the water services into these houses, these people are thrilled that they're getting public water, they're getting...
Regardless.
Some of them have no water, some of them have dirty water, some of them are looking at filter systems of $10,000 to $15,000. So there's a lot of people that are very excited about this, and there's a lot of people that need it. And without any cost to the town, if we don't take these grants, they're going to go somewhere else.
I understand, but people need their medications too, so to pay another bill, that's what I hear. So I just,
No, these are grants, so let's not.
No, I know, but that's why I want it
Hook up to
here.
the water, there would be a water bill. That's why
Right.
it's not, they are not required to hook up.
No, right.
No one is required to hook up. The town meeting vote on that was whether the town should be funding this project.
It also said
It's
grants, so
part
that
of
was in
the-
there too, that it couldn't go and get grants and whatnot. But I just get asked a lot of questions, and
No?
I don't know how to answer them, you know? That's it.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Bob. Town administrator. Did you say something?
I said, thank you, Bob.
The town administrator report.
Yeah, so I think we've talked about the first item, the water. The only thing I will say is that right now they're doing the permanent
John,
patch.
was there a vote to take on that?
We didn't have any action, no.
Okay.
Right now on the project, they're looking at doing the permanent patches along Route 6, so they're taking out the temporary patches and they're doing a permanent patch. There's still one more step after that. It'll be done, I think, in another month or two to make them even better. They just started work on the slip lining of the pipe underneath the culvert. You can see they've fused the pipe along Route 6 in the median. And that they were supposed to start doing some work today to actually start the slip lining, and that'll take a couple of weeks. And that's the last section of the water line that needs to be installed. So they are moving along. The town website, I had mentioned before that we will get some of the stuff up on the website, but we're converting over to the new website on August 13th, so it will be down for a short period of time while this conversion takes place. They say a couple of hours, but we're planning on a day. The new website, Carol Freitas has been putting an extreme amount of time into this. I never realized how involved it was, but she's been doing a great job, so very appreciative of the work that she's put into it. It's a new layout. Our existing system we were going to lose anyway because they're no longer servicing that release, so we would have had to upgrade the system, so there would have been changes anyway. It's a great website. It looks good. I'm hoping after people get used to it, it's going to be much easier for them and a much better website, so that's all I have.
Jim, I just have, Chair, just a question on that. On updates on websites, on the town website, and committees and committee membership and stuff like that, who does the updates on that? Who's best to go to on that? Because I know there are some committees that A, aren't listed, and then B, I was looking around for some committee membership the other day, and they were pretty outdated.
It's a good question. I'm trying to come up with a better system.
Okay.
Normally, the committees are responsible for getting their
Information
up on the website. We have Paula that helps out, we have Carol that helps out, and Nadine that helps out, but they have limited time. We have a lot of committees in this town, and a lot of minutes, a lot of agendas, a lot of information, so it's difficult for them to keep up. So we do ask the committees if they can participate and do the work themselves. That's great. If they can't, we'll do what we can to help them.
And to actually upload the stuff, I mean, there's ability to do that for the committee, for committees to do that?
Yep.
Okay.
I heard someone,
I'll touch base with you on that, because I think
And it
as
depends
offshore
on-
wind, we don't
It depends
have.
on the committee. If it's just one or two things, the learning curve isn't worth doing. If you're going to be if it's an active committee, then we want to make sure they get involved.
Okay, thank you.
Someone talked to me about, that might be one where we could get volunteers, that we might want to think about whether we get a committee that's, to volunteer to do some web work. So I don't know if that'll fly or not, but that was somebody told me that that maybe that's a way we could get volunteers to help with the website.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to have a great new website, let's obviously
keep
add data, good data. You want to make sure it's good in there, so thank you.
Okay, so we have the minutes of July 21.
Motion to approve July 21st meeting minutes.
Second.
Abstain.
Is there any discussion? So we had 2 absences, so Manny was absent.
I'm abstaining.
Okay, so we have 2 abstentions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's 3 in favor with 2 abstentions. Report on the bill warrant.
Yes, it's in your package. It was large, 9.7 million. There are a lot of town and school bills. This is common in the first month of the new fiscal year, such as debt retirement, property insurance, a lot of software in here. Pension, it goes on and on. This was like this thick. I don't want to bore you, but as I was going through this, I couldn't come up with $9 million. But I went back to talk to Joanne. She said, well, there is one more invoice over here. And that was lengthy, and that was the other $3 million I was looking for. So it all worked out. So it's a big number, probably not going to repeat, but this occurs once a year. But it's always in order.
Thank you. So we have committee reports or suggestions for future agenda items. So Craig?
The Opiate Settlement Advisory Committee met last week. It was a fairly brief meeting, but we are still moving towards having a public meeting to develop ideas. We're soliciting input. We're distributing surveys to the town. So if you get something regarding how should we be using the money that we get from the national settlement with the pharmaceutical companies for community-based programs and prevention programs relative to opiate addiction, we're doing that.
Great, thank you. Dick?
Madam Chair, I might be asking for a tag team here with me and Jay, because we have two functions that we perform. One is the search for an assistant to the town administrator. The other one, of course, is the town administrator search. So I'll start with the town administrator search. If you want to do the other one, fine, I'll do both. Town administrator search, we met with the recruiter, Bernard Lynch of Paradigm. And he was outlining the process, and he was going to be interviewing all of us. I don't know if he...
I talked to him.
Yeah, okay.
I talked to him.
Yeah.
I did.
So we had that, and he's talking about the next phases. He's in the process of generating candidates. He says it's tough out there. There aren't a lot of candidates these days for this position, or this type of position. But anyway, he was still optimistic. At some point in the near future, we need to recommend to the Select Board a screening committee. We had a screening committee last time, and Mr. Lynch said it would be appropriate if Jake and I would be on that screening committee. He suggested the whole committee might be 5 people, maybe 6 at the most, and asked us to get going on that, but there was no urgency because that committee won't be meeting until probably the 1st of September when we have candidates. So Jake and I have an action assignment to get together and see if we can come up with some names and then present them to the Select Board to appoint the screening committee. So that's the progress on the town administrator search. It's going well. But this is the process, and we're familiar with that. You want me to keep going? Or?
I can, you want me to cover the second one? And to Dick's point, I think this process looking for a new town administrator is obviously going to be a little bit difficult. But I think we have a good process in place, and I think we're heading in the right direction. So I think it's going to, work out well, and we have a lot to say. I know they've been talking to each of us with the issues that are concerning us here in town, or that, long-standing issues that that the town administrator will have to deal with. So it's gone well. As for the assistant to the town administrator, we are pretty far along in the process. Jim has screened a lot of the resumes that we have, and we ended up with down to about a dozen or so, and we've whittled that down to have some interviews probably starting next week for the assistant to the town administrator, and hopefully that moves along pretty quickly. Jim did a good job of getting a lot of resumes down to about a dozen or 15 that we're able to whittle that down to those that will be interviewed. So hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have a better feel as to what direction we're going in with that. So it's worked out well, so thank you.
All right, thank you. Did you have any others?
I have nothing else.
I didn't have any committee appointments recently. Janie?
I was detained, I was not able to make it.
Jake?
I'm all
Any
set.
others?
Thank you, Sean.
Okay. Do we have any comments or statements from the public? All right. Do we have any other topics not anticipated 48 hours in advance? Okay, I think we're all set, so we'll be back here on Monday, the 18th of August.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.